In this week's edition of the 106.3 WORD cover story, we take a look at homelessness in the Upstate. I spoke with the Director of Social Ministries for the Salvation Army of Greenville about their efforts in helping with the issue.
So I oversee the functional components of how we directly work with people experiencing homelessness. So we have a mixed-use campus that we have on Rutherford Street, and it has a shelter for women and children and an emergency shelter for men as well. Also, we have an alcohol and drug rehabilitative center on this campus. And so I oversee all of the day-to-day functioning of that, as well as the direct services to the community. So we help people with expenses that they are, facing eviction or utilities being shut off. We assist with sustaining medications and financially assisting people with those. We are also a food bank, and we offer clothing assistance. We have advocates that work with people who are experiencing lots of different levels of crisis. And so we really oversee a lot of different moving parts as far as really affecting change for the marginalized population in Greenville, people who are in the deep level of poverty.
Lauren spoke of some of the factors contributing to the issue.
I would definitely say one that we see a lot is generational poverty, is that they have never existed outside of poverty. And so upward mobility is very much absent from the very deep level of poverty that we work with people in. And then also, of course, you have, alcohol and drug addiction of various different kinds, and then pervasive mental illness. People who have experienced mental illness for a very long time and have never truly been balanced out on either medication or therapeutic approaches, those things can exacerbate each other. Oftentimes we don't know if it's the mental illness driving the substance abuse or the substance abuse driving the mental illness. And so it's trying to get people stabilized in order for them to really get onto their feet to be able to start over. And starting over in Greenville is a very daunting task.
What makes starting over here so daunting?
We have very limited affordable housing. We have a very limited and strained public transportation system. And then we have a very low livable wage here. So you put all those three things together is that, if you cannot get to work, you cannot have a job. And if you do not have a job, you cannot pay to live somewhere. And so they really do play into each other. We have wonderful opportunities in Greenville as far as employment. We have great manufacturing still here in Greenville. It's just not in the city center, which is where our public transportation hub is. And our public transportation only goes so far and runs for so long. And so those good paying jobs are not very much accessible to our folks that are trying to get on their feet and trying to start over. And then also, of course, employers who have less interest in looking over criminal histories that might be quite old. You don't find yourself in a homeless situation if you have never made mistakes. And so the forgiveness of some things could be a little bit higher, I would say. But all in all, I think that we have wonderful services in Greenville. We have a grand continuum that works together. The way that the agencies bounce things off of one another and really try to put the client at the center of everything is an important feature to how we work well with one another to serve the people that we do.
Despite that, the city is still willing to help.
Oh, sure. They have been very open to it. They have participated in site visits where we've gone to other bigger cities to see how they do it. And I would say in Greenville, the city and county partnerships have been really, really, motivated to be meeting with the service providers who truly are, the subject matter experts on this type of thing, and been open to looking at other models that are very effective in some cities and how we can bring those back to Greenville, city and county, to be able to bring those ideas and really to shift our perspective a bit is that, when we all do better, we all do better.
There are a few things that Lauren would like the public to know about the homeless.
I would say that there's always going to be some level of a stigma and some component that is rather taboo about this population, is that we imagine in our heads that it's going to be the slumped over, bearded man with dirty, tattered clothes sitting on the street corner, and he's going to be shaking a coffee cup because he wants change in it. The face of homelessness has drastically changed over the last decade, I would say, and that, yes, while we do have people who have very long beards, tattered clothes, and sit with a cup in their hand, we have those individuals. But we also have people who are employed. We have people who are productive members of society. They just lack a place to live. And so I think a large piece of understanding is that the spectrum of people experiencing homelessness is very large. it's mothers and children, it's single fathers with children, it's couples who had a health scare. Someone had a heart attack and they lost everything within a few months. I think understanding homelessness comes with understanding the social capacity of our community and what level of a safety net do we actually have for people when life throws you hard times. A loss of a job can single-handedly take away every single aspect of your existence. And so in order to help people work through that, that's kind of what we've had to figure out with them. There's no like how-to, manual of how to work with folks experiencing homelessness. And so we try to be what needs to be for each person as they're with us, is that we go to those places with them and walk alongside them, just as we would in our own families. We become family to 96 people experiencing homelessness. And so, to be able to do that is the greatest gift of my life, is that to be able to walk alongside people in their time of true and actual struggle. And so to have a community that wants to be educated on that, and to live in a community that is thriving and will continue to thrive, because I don't think that this is something that they're just going to let fall to the wayside. But in order to do that, there are going to be those that get tossed to the bottom. And that's kind of what we do, is that we go to the bottom and we pull people out of the river and we try to dry them off. And so, to have more people interested in living this with us and walking it out with us and supporting people who they don't know their name of, just knowing that we know them, hopefully that would be enough for them to want to support the many endeavors that we're trying to do here.